Hi friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And what I have for you today is another installment of the segment I call First Time Fails. These are movies that I watched and did not connect with the first time, but as I always say, don't give up on something after one watch. Give it a second, sometimes a third. And now these are some movies that are in my favorites. I would call them some of my top favorites in each of their respective genres. So I'm just going to get right into it with the first one, and this is the Criterion 4K Blu-ray release of Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water. And Guillermo del Toro is one of my top favorite filmmaker directors, and I just think he is a brilliant storyteller and a brilliant filmmaker, awesome director, and I love everything he does. So when I heard this was coming out, I was like, I'm seeing this in the theater. I've never seen one of his movies in theater, so I wanted to experience that. I went in totally blind, had no idea what this movie was about. I just knew it was by him and I wanted to be there. So I went, and I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. We have Sally Hawkins playing, it takes place, I believe, in the 1960s, in this government facility, and she is a mute gal, as most of you know if you've seen the movie. And she works in this government facility where they bring in this creature who looks like Creature from the Black Lagoon, and they're holding it there for whatever, probably nefarious reasons, as we come to find out. But I just found the whole thing odd, because it's almost like they start to have this emotional attachment to each other and like a sexual thing going on, and I'm like, what the heck am I watching? And I just walked away really disappointed. Now, fast forward a few years, and that year it ended up, I think, winning 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. And I'm like, what am I missing that everybody else is seeing? So when Criterion announced it, I took a chance and I picked it up because I wasn't going to give up on this. And now I watch everything with the subtitles, and let me tell you, I have watched this several times since picking it up. The last time, most recent time being 2 nights ago. I adore this film. I get it. I understand what it was going for. It's an ultimate fantasy film. It's a nod to the Universal monsters. It's got everything in it. It has some dark comedy, it has some romance, it has sci-fi, it has, like I said, some horror elements with the Universal monsters and some different scenes that go on with the gore and whatnot. And I watch everything with subtitles on now. So what I did is I followed the story that I missed. I missed a lot of the story in theater because, you know, the theater experience, people are talking, maybe the sound quality isn't the best. I have a problem hearing out of my right ear, so I watch everything with subtitles. And with subtitles, I was absolutely blown away by this movie, and I get it. I see what people see. Sally Hawkins is amazing. Octavia Spencer gives a great supporting role. I just thought everything about this was superb, and the 4K looks amazing, which, if you don't like the film, it doesn't matter how great it looks if you don't like the story, but I love it, and just to have a flawless 4K experience is just the icing on the cake. And I did watch a special feature where it's an interview with Guillermo del Toro, and he's talking with another filmmaker, and he's talking about his experience. He actually came up with the concept because he loved the Universal monsters. Actually, he's releasing Frankenstein it's slated for November of this year. But he loves The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and he said at 7 years old, he was thinking, why not have a movie where the Creature from the Black Lagoon kind of has a thing with Marilyn Monroe, because he liked those too. And all other things came into play, and this is kind of the outcome of what started in the mind of a 7-year-old boy, genius filmmaker. And just watch that. If you have this edition, watch that interview with Guillermo del Toro, because you will learn about his use of color, his love for practical effects, his love for the Universal monsters, and what his goal was with this movie. And I just absolutely adore this, and I would recommend it to anyone. But yeah, definitely, the subtitles definitely helped, because I picked up the holes in the story that I had missed in my theater experience, which seems to be a common theme with me when I don't care for movies in the theater. But Shape of Water is my first pick. Now this one, I watched it way back when it first came out, and it is Reservoir Dogs. Now, I wasn't the biggest Quentin Tarantino fan at the time. I think this came out in 1992, so it was quite a while ago. And I watched it and I was like, yeah, it's a heist movie gone wrong. But to me, it was just a big, giant, bloody mess. And it is a bloody mess. I mean, as we can see with the slipcover here, where someone loses an ear. But, I was like, it was okay, but it wasn't something that I ever planned to watch again. And maybe 10 years later, I watched it when it came out, I believe on Blu-ray, and I really liked it. I'm like, what did I miss? Why did I not like this? This is awesome. And yeah, is it a bloody mess? Yeah, but it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. It's going to be a bloody mess. But by that point, I think I had matured in my film tastes and understanding what certain directors go for, and I really, really enjoyed this film for what it was. I thought it was great, and I still think it's great. I think it's a great heist film. I think the acting is great. I think it's a great cast, and I love the carnage. I just love it, and I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan, so Reservoir Dogs is now a favorite, and definitely had to add this on my pile, for films that I did not connect with the first time, and now they're a favorite. So Reservoir Dogs is the next one. And this one, this gave me such an anxiety attack on the first watch. It came from Lionsgate and A24, and then this is the Criterion, I believe it's the 4K Criterion release of, it's a Safdie Brothers film, Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems. And, he plays a jeweler, and he's the story, you've seen it, and all I can say is, on the first watch, I just felt like it was one giant anxiety attack. And I'm a person who suffers with anxiety to begin with. So it just put me over the edge. I couldn't take it. The pacing of this movie is just frantic. It's just like manic paced. And he's constantly running and wheeling and dealing, and things are going right and then they're going wrong, and he's going left and right and this and that. It drove me batty. I felt like I couldn't breathe by the end of it. So I waited, and I'm like, it wasn't a bad movie at all. And I like Adam Sandler in roles like this, and I like him I especially like him in Rain on Me. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. It's his most dramatic role, and I think he's brilliant in it. I would take something like that or this over like Happy Gilmore. No offense to the Happy Gilmore fans, but I would take something like this or like that over his comedy roles. But this, it took my breath away. Now, I waited and I rewatched it, and I got it, because if you sit back and you're seeing it from the point of view of someone who's going through what he's going through, our main character is going through, that's exactly how you're going to feel. It's how you're going to live your life. You're going to live your life at a frantic pace, wheeling and dealing and trying to keep yourself ahead of the game that you're never going to win. And I got it, and I connected with that main character, and I understood. I was able to step back, take a breath, take myself out of it, and just see it for what it was. They're showing us how someone in that position would react to try to keep ahead of, like I said, the game that they're never going to win. And I think it's brilliantly done. I think Adam Sandler is brilliant. I think the filmmaking, the writing, everything about this is brilliant, and it's a winner. It's one of my favorites now. So Uncut Gems is the next one on the list. Now this one, I waited so long for this one to come to some sort of American release. I don't think we had an American release. There may have been a DVD, but after I saw Parasite, I couldn't wait to hear this one because I heard nothing but highest praise for it. And this is the Criterion release. It is, I believe it's, this is Blu-ray. I didn't go for I don't know if there's a 4K edition of it out now, but I have the Blu-ray, and it is Bong Joon-ho's Memories of Murder. And this is based on true events that happened in, I believe, South Korea. Was it in Seoul, South Korea? Well, it was in South Korea. And it's about serial killers, a series of serial murders, serial killers of women that were going on. And it's about these investigators who are trying to solve these unsolved crimes and find out what is going on. And I think what threw me about this is that I went in, now you should never go in with expectations. I'm learning that as I go. Don't expect anything. I went in blind. I knew nothing about it except that it was about murders. And I expected it to be very, very serious through the whole film. It is not. There are very dark comedic moments. There are times when I'm like, these are like the Keystone Cops. I don't know what, they seemed like they didn't know what they were doing as they're trying to solve these crimes. And what happened is I watched the movie the whole way through, didn't hate it, but didn't love it, didn't expect to visit it again. I wasn't necessarily going to purge it from my collection because, like I say, always give it 2 chances. And I wanted to watch it again. But in between, I did do a little bit of research, and I found out that there are places like South Korea where they are very limited on research and resources. Resources. And they're using what they have to try to solve these crimes. And they're also living in a military state where they're very much controlled what they can and can't do. And I think some of the comedic moments were put in there to show how ridiculous it is that their hands are so tied when they're just trying to solve these very important crimes, these heinous crimes, and they just can't because they don't have the resources. And once I got that, I watched this through different eyes, through a different lens, and I absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant. I think he did a great job working with the material he had and also showing us the insanity of how the result that you get when you try to limit the arm of law enforcement. You kind of just have to let them do what they need to do to solve the crime, give them the resources that they need, and if you don't, this is the end result that you're going to get. So I think Memories of Murder is brilliant. Everyone should see it. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. It's a really great film. Now this one, I think I was equal parts a little put off. I didn't understand what was going on, and I was grossed out at the aliens. And that is Peter Jackson presenting a Neil Blomkamp film, District 9. I was not a fan of this. The first time I saw it, I just couldn't get by. I call them the shrimp people. The aliens that came down, they just look like giant, disgusting shrimp, and I can't stand seafood. So when I saw these characters that look like shrimp, I was kind of gagging through the whole thing, and that really took me out of the movie, and I failed to see what they were trying to show us, the symbolism that they were trying to show us through this movie, how they isolate these aliens that come down that they don't understand, so they put them in this area where they can't interact with the public, and they don't really take time to understand these creatures, and they just automatically segregate them. And there's a lot of symbolism in this movie, and especially in the times we're living in today. But there is a lot of symbolism at how we treat things that we really don't understand, and we don't really take the time to find out, is there something that we can learn from them, or why certain things happen. And that's all I'm going to say. If you haven't watched District 9, definitely give it a watch. It's a cool sci-fi film, and I just love it now. I went back and watched it a second time, third time, 10th time by now. I absolutely love this, and I even like Elysium and Chappie. I like all of them, so I'm a big fan of the series, and this one was the one that kicked it all off. But once I got past the shrimp and I got to understand what they were trying to do with this movie, I really, really appreciated it for what it was. So I'm gonna grab 5 more films and we're gonna wrap this one up. Okay, I'm back, and I have 5 more films, and we're going to wrap this one up. Now, this next one is probably going to come as a surprise to some of you because I have been singing the praises of this one forever. But it is a Japanese film, and it is called One Cut of the Dead. Now, this was a recommendation to me from a friend who always gives me the best recommendations, and he never misses. And highly recommended this one to me, and I picked it up. He even told me, he's kind enough to tell me where to find it because I couldn't find it online. So I grabbed it and I just put it in, and all I knew is that it had to do with some sort of indie film, making of indie film. And I put it on, and I have to tell you, I tried like 3 times to get through the first half hour of this film, and I kept turning it off, and I was just saying to myself, I can't do it. I don't know what's going wrong. I don't get it. I don't like it. It's corny. It's weird. It's off-putting. And it's all those things for the first 37 minutes. But everyone who comes back to me and tells me that they did not like this kind of failed in the first half hour. And I said, you know what? You have to get past the 37-minute mark, because then it switches and it becomes a behind-the-scenes making of, laugh your ass off comedy about the making of that film that was the first 37 minutes. That's their independent film that they make. And they show you how they did it, how they went about it, and it is awesome. This is hilarious. And I tell people, it's almost like if the cast of The Office made a movie and would be the output, except it's in Japanese with English subtitles. One Cut of the Dead is an absolute blast. It's an awesome recommendation, and I would tell anyone, pick it up and watch it. You will have a great time. Just watch the first 37 minutes and don't think much about it, because it'll all come together in the second half. This is fantastic and it's a favorite. So definitely check this one out. The next one, this one was all on me. I watched it without the subtitles, and this is not the type of film you can do that with. This is a film from Francis Ford Coppola. It stars Gene Hackman. It had 3 Academy Awards, including nominations, including Best Picture. It is Gene Hackman in The Conversation. And I watched this without subtitles, and I'm thinking to myself, what's the big deal? What's going on? I didn't connect with it at all. It was boring. It was slow. I didn't understand the story. I didn't know what the big deal was. And what ended up happening is, a few years after I watched this for the first time, a friend asked me to come on his channel and do a like a movie swap type thing, where I pick a film for him to watch, he picks a film for me to watch, and we discuss. So what did he pick? The Conversation. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. Everybody raves about this film. I watched it with the subtitles. Totally different experience. I missed, I would say, at least half of the film, half of the story, because the way this film is presented is that he is, he's taping this couple that's walking around, and he's doing surveillance on them, and he hears things that he's really not supposed to hear, or that he doesn't want to hear, or he doesn't want to know. And there is a reason, and I can't get into it because it's a spoiler, but the way the conversation goes is they're in this warehouse where they have all their surveillance equipment, and there are so many conversations going on at once, and some of them are in very hushed tones, and they're very easy to miss. So with the subtitles, I was able to put all the pieces of this together, and it's an absolute masterpiece that blows me away every single time I watch it. So if you've watched The Conversation and you had an experience like I had, where you're kind of bored and you didn't really understand what was going on, watch it with the subtitles on. It's a completely different film, and it will absolutely live up to the hype, and it will blow you away. It's amazing. And the last scene of this movie crushes it. It's awesome. It's a fantastic film, The Conversation. Now this next one, poor Quentin Tarantino. He made the list twice, and when I saw this one, I was actually a huge fan of his work. So for me to not like it on the first try, probably a problem with me, not the film. But I did see it in theaters, which is my first strike because I didn't have my subtitles. But whatever, I saw it, and it stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And this takes place during the time in Hollywood when the Manson murders occurred, and Sharon Tate, the killing of Sharon Tate and whatnot. But this was a movie that I was really looking forward to, and I couldn't wait to see what they were going to do with it. There's a lot of stories going on in this one, as you know if you've seen it. So tying everything together, first of all, that was a problem for me. And I'm thinking to myself, this is supposed to be about the Manson murders. Why is there all this side stuff going on about this actor who seems to be aging out, played by Leonardo DiCaprio? And what's with the stuntman? And all kinds of weird things were going on. And then I felt like there was a lot of creative liberties taken with the Manson part of the story, and that really put me off, because I have studied the Manson murders and the Manson cult at length, because I am my degree is in criminal justice, and that was one of the things we studied. So I was really put off by the way he chose to take creative liberties with everything. So I wrote it. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a really beautifully shot movie. If it wasn't based on facts, like the Manson murders, I would have been fine with it. But I thought it was put out there as that it was totally going to be based on facts, and it was just going to be like a retelling of the story. And that's not what this is. So I went back, I did a little research, I've read some reviews, which I will only do after I've seen a movie, and I found out that this is really his love letter to old Hollywood. And yes, he did take creative liberties with certain things that happen. And when I watched it through that lens, and I watched it through different eyes, I think this is absolutely brilliant. I think Brad Pitt is awesome. Leonardo DiCaprio, who I'm not the biggest fan of, I thought he was great in this. Margot Robbie's fantastic. I thought everybody was great in this. Love the dog, Brandy. My favorite part of the whole movie is the dog is just brilliant. But if you've seen the movie, if you know, you know. But I thought this was really good, and I'm even learning to make peace with the creative liberties that he took, especially towards the end. And I kind of almost like it now. I like the story that he told in the end, and I think it works. I think it fits the movie, and I think it's great how he goes into, actors, especially male actors, aging out of their parts and how it can affect them, emotionally, personally, their whole life. And I just think that this is a really cool movie. And I just watched it again like a month ago. I've seen it several times since the first time, but I think this is really awesome. And for me, even better with the subtitles on, because I got what was going on. I understood the conversations. I didn't miss anything. And I just think this is brilliant. I think it's one of his best films, and I absolutely love it. I love, love, love this film. So if you haven't seen it, definitely give it a watch. And I'm sure most of you have seen all these films, if not most of them, but that's the whole point of this. Now, this next one, I had no clue what I was getting into. Someone recommended this for me. I watched it. I had never heard of or read the graphic novel, but it's Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving in V for Vendetta. Now, I watched this, and I really didn't know what to expect. I had no idea what I was getting into, and to be honest with you, I was a little bored the first time. I was thinking to myself, like, what's the big deal? Okay, so he wants to do something to make a statement to the government or overthrow the government or whatever he's trying to do. And I didn't understand what was going on or why it was so, intentional. Like, what is the point of keeping this girl, and why does she keep going back to him, and what is the situation with the government taking control over the people? Like, I didn't understand any of it. And that's on me, because I did no research into it. I just walked in and expected to be entertained, and that is not what happened. But once I went back and watched it a second time and a third time and probably 10 times by now, I absolutely love this movie. I think it's brilliantly done. I love the color scheme. I love the whole tone of the movie. I think it's more relevant today than anything in this pile. I think it is brilliantly done. I still haven't read the graphic novel. I don't know if I ever will, but I love this for what it is, and I love the presentation. And remember, the 5th of November will always be something that comes to mind on the 5th of November. But I think this was really brilliantly done. Natalie Portman is awesome. I understand her character arc now. I understand the character arc of the masked man. I don't know I forget what they call him, and I've seen it a million times. But this fella here, but Hugo Weaving's character. But I think that this whole film is brilliant, and I just missed the whole point of it on the first watch. And sometimes going in blind to a film can be great, and sometimes you can have a miss like I did. But again, I do watch it with the subtitles, so I understood the back and forth, because I found with him wearing the mask, some of his dialogue was a little bit muffled, and I needed to go back and I needed to see the subtitles to see exactly what he was saying and what his point was and why he felt the need to do some of the things that he did, and what Natalie Portman's role was and what her connection was to him, and why she made decisions that she made. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but I think this is brilliant. So definitely check out V for Vendetta. It's fantastic. And this last one, I hated it the first time I saw it, and I can't say that now. Now I really like it, but it stars, it's a Robert Eggers film. It stars Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson in The Lighthouse. And I think my number one issue with this is that it was hyped up and billed as a straight horror film. So I had seen The Witch, and I expected this to be a full-on horror film. All I heard, it's the best horror film of the year. It's horror, horror, horror. It's not the kind of horror that you would think. I watched this and I was so confused, so disappointed. I thought it was beautifully shot. I love that it's in black and white. I love the style choices. I thought it was beautifully done. But I'm like, I mean, I'm watching a horror movie and it's about farting and laughing and people going nuts and losing their mind and what is going on, and I never wanted to watch it again. And then again, I did a little research, put the subtitles on, watched it again. It's great. It is a different kind of horror movie. It is not the kind of horror movie that's going to give you nightmares. It's more of a psychological horror about two men in the 1800s holed up in this lighthouse for a certain period of time, and they're slowly coming undone and they're losing their minds because they're just trapped with each other in this lighthouse. And then I got it. Then it snapped, it all clicked together, and I think it was brilliantly done. I think the performances were fantastic, the story's great, it's artistically, it's gorgeous, it's a gorgeously done movie, and I think if you can look at it more from a psychological horror than a straight up horror film, I think that for anyone who didn't care for it the first time, I think you owe it to yourselves to give it a second shot, because it really is a true story, a true psychological horror about what happens if you're contained for too long, and especially with another person, and you start to drive each other nuts and you start to mentally come undone, and that's exactly what's happening here. So I'm not going to say any more about it, but just pick it up and watch it if you haven't seen it, because the Lighthouse is a winner. So those are my 10 picks for this second installment of the First Time Fails series. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope maybe there's some films in here that either you haven't seen or maybe you didn't connect with them on the first try and you're going to be willing to give it a second try. And let me know down in the comments if there's films that you haven't connected with or if you'd want my thoughts on it. And I'm happy to keep this series going because everyone seemed to enjoy it the first time. Hopefully you'll enjoy this one. But I want to thank everyone for watching, and if you enjoyed this, feel free to hit the subscribe button and see other videos like this, anything about physical media, movies, collecting, what have you. And we're getting ready for the 50th of Jaws, which is all over the internet, so we'll be doing some Jaws content real soon. But that's going to do it for me. I'm going to go upstairs and we're going to grill some chicken make some chicken on the grill for Memorial Day weekend. And I hope everyone is safe and happy, and I will catch you in the next one. So for now, that's a wrap.